Manchester City have problem position with no perfect solution, we must not forget. Manchester City team news with Rodri and Nico Gonzalez doubts, and Mateo Kovacic having only just returned to full fitness. Tuesday night's 2-0 win over Villarreal made it 9 games unbeaten in all competitions, while Erling Haaland continued his scarcely believable goal-scoring form as he netted his 24th goal of an already prolific campaign for club and country. The Blues are buoyant ahead of the trip to Aston Villa on Sunday afternoon and will head to the Midlands with extra rest time compared to their opponents who are in Europa League action in the Netherlands on Thursday night with an away tie at go-ahead Eagles. Villa have found their form after a difficult start to the season and were deserved winners of the corresponding fixture last season, which came during City's winter of discontent when the Blues struggled for results and performances. Things seem different now. City have a swagger back with Haaland dominant at one end and Gianluigi Donnarumma at the other. The likes of Nico O'Reilly, Phil Foden and Jeremy Doku are in superb form. Pep Guardiola is close to being able to call upon a fully fit squad. There are question marks over the fitness of 3 players ahead of the game at Villa Park. The problem is 2 of them play in the same position. Rodri missed the Champions League trip to Spain, while Nico Gonzalez was forced off in the second half with a knock. The prognosis on both is positive, but there is no guarantee either will be fit or risked to start this weekend, particularly in case of Rodri, who has suffered a stop-start season with fitness and injury concerns. If neither are deemed fit enough to feature, then Mateo Kovacic is in line to come in for his first start of the season. He replaced Gonzalez in midweek and offers a steady hand in the middle of midfield. But the Croat is also light in match fitness, having undergone Achilles surgery over the summer. He's played 37 minutes for City so far this term across 2 substitute appearances, although he did start for his national side against Gibraltar during the international break. The 31-year-old would be the perfect fit in the absence of City's Spanish midfield duo. The issue is match fitness. Guardiola has already spoken about the need to manage Kovacic's return to full fitness, and asking too much too soon is a risky proposition. Prove a point, Rico Lewis offers Manchester City alternative for Pep Guardiola. Manchester City defender Rico Lewis spoke after a starring role in their Champions League win over Villarreal. Rico Lewis felt out of puff after 10 minutes in Villarreal, but he could be ready to breathe new life in Manchester City's midfield. Pep Guardiola is still working out his best combinations in the centre, having said goodbye to long-serving legends Kevin De Bruyne and Ilkay Gundogan in the summer, and been unable to rely on Rodri's fitness. Nico Gonzalez is stepping up to cover for the Ballon d'Or winner, and further forward Phil Foden and Tijani Reinders had been the preferred choice. Both were benched for the trip to Villarreal though, with Lewis coming in as one of 4 changes to make his first start since Huddersfield away in the League Cup. The 20-year-old played where he wants to, in central midfield behind Erling Haaland, and made an instant impact as he crossed for the striker to score the opening goal at the Estadio de la Ceramica. Lewis paired up nicely with Savinho, John Stones and Matheus Nunes in the Champions League game, with a confident performance that gives Guardiola food for thought as he assesses his options that also include Omar Marmoush and Ryan Cherki. Lewis felt like he needed to prove a point, and his way of interpreting the midfield role and running between the lines is certainly different. I was so tired. After 10 minutes I was thinking, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to half-time, but the basics are always going to be there, he said. You can't play for 5 games in a row, but the team is so good that you fit in. We do it so much in training, you know the spaces. Running between the lines is something I'll have to look at myself. It's very different when you're in the game, you don't see it all, but it's something I can offer. It's something I enjoy. I think it's effective as well. I knew I needed to go and prove a point. I needed to prove myself because I've always wanted to play in midfield and talk about it all the time. When I get the opportunity, I want to take it. Guardiola purred over Lewis after the game and was happy with his side's victory, even if he saw room for improvement in the second half. City's problem has generally been seeing out games this season, with promising starts that have faded over the course of the 90 minutes. The players will work on that, helped by the fact that more players are available. But Lewis was happy to lead from the start to play the kind of football that Guardiola loves. Possession heavy, passing heavy, and taking the game to their opponents from the start. Most of the season, it's been like that, in my opinion. From looking from the outside in as well. Maybe some games we've struggled with it, but I feel like Wolves was the same. It's always there, but it's having the confidence to do it from minute one, he said. The manager says everyone can play amazing football when you're 3 or 4-0 up, but it's about doing it from minute zero, and that's what we did at Villarreal. The performance, coming with a result like that, helps more than you think. You can win 1-0 and it be a bit scrappy, and you can be happy while knowing that the performance wasn't good, but having a performance like that with a clean sheet and 2 goals is amazing. Very frustrating. Angry Manchester City punished by embarrassing UEFA decision. Manchester City made mistakes in their UEFA Youth League game, but a trio of officials got a crucial call wrong. Manchester City were denied a penalty in the UEFA Youth League defeat to Villarreal after 3 officials failed to spot a foul in the penalty area. The referee, supported by a linesman and the 4th official on the same side, agreed that Floyd Samba had been brought down, but chose to give a free kick rather than a spot kick. The incident came in the 70th minute of the game in Villarreal, as City were fighting to get back into the match. 2 first-half goals had given the hosts the lead, but Divine Mukasa had pulled one back for Ben Wilkinson's side, and they were pushing for an equaliser when sub Samba collected Ryan McAdoo's ball inside the box and was brought down. "He's definitely in the area. He's not even on the line. He's inside of the line," said City Club commentator Ali Mann. "I'm not quite sure how the officials haven't seen that. It's not a difficult decision to have made, but he's got that one wrong." Mukasa smashed the subsequent free kick against the post and the chance was gone, with City unable to find an equaliser in the final 20 minutes. Wilkinson was one of 11 booked from both sides in a chaotic match that saw tempers fray as the referee struggled to handle the occasion. City's coach was in no doubt that his players only had themselves to blame for their 2-1 defeat after gifting their opponents 2 goals with poor defending. However, it is not a great look for UEFA for their flagship youth competition when 3 officials all failed to see that Samba was clearly inside the box when he was fouled in the second half. Manchester City contract decision that split opinion is beginning to make sense. Manchester City beat Villarreal 2-0 in the Champions League, and Brazilian winger Savinho was key to the success. In among a flurry of new contracts dished out at Manchester City in the last couple of months, it was the one given to Savinho that was of most intrigue and led to the most debate. The Brazilian had only been at the Etihad for 1 season before seeing a contract with 4 years still to run extended to 6 years, with a hefty pay rise included. The 21-year-old's debut campaign had been promising, but he had flirted with an exit in the summer when he fluttered his eyelashes at Tottenham, who had a strong interest in signing him. Savinho missed the start of the season with a mystery injury as that transfer saga dragged on, and his social media activity didn't always endear himself to the fans, although it might be that amateur sleuths were reading too much into a suitcase lurking in the background of a photo of a pool table. He has certainly cleaned up since. You could argue he played the window perfectly, earning that new deal and extra cash as a result of Spurs' desire to sign him. But with the contract and the salary comes an expectation to perform. His performances last season sparked plenty of debate, and his first start of this certainly split opinion. He ended up scoring at Huddersfield in the Carabao Cup, but until his 74th minute goal, he had frustrated supporters with another night lacking in end product. Pep Guardiola seems enamoured, however. No player got more minutes in the Club World Cup, and the 21-year-old has now started 5 of the last 6 games. He might just be taking his game up a level as well. He has started to perform more consistently, and having set up Erling Haaland for City's second against Everton on Saturday, he was excellent at El Madrigal as the Blues cruised past Villarreal in the Champions League. So dangerous was Savinho that the hosts' left-back, Alfonso Pedraza, was booked after 11 minutes and hooked at half-time, having seen both goals come down his flank. Savinho played a perfectly weighted pass to Rico Lewis to help create the first, and then stuck a cross on Bernardo Silva's head for the second. He combined well with Lewis all night, and the intelligence of the play down the City right was a joy to behold. They were direct when required, but showed patience as well, waiting for the right opportunity to inject speed into a move. Sergi Cardona came on for Pedraza, but he fared little better. Savinho glided past him a couple of times in the early stages of the second half, putting him on the back foot and making him doubt himself from then on. There was one brief spell last season when Savinho threatened to start delivering regularly. He scored and assisted against Leicester City at the end of 2024 and created 2 goals against West Ham at the start of 2025. But then the fizz quickly disappeared again. In total, his first season at the Etihad yielded 3 goals and 13 assists. That isn't terrible, especially in a team that often struggled, but more was expected, and now more is starting to come. Savinho looked bright in the United States in the summer, and during that tournament, Guardiola backed him to eventually deliver on that potential in the final third. He is a player with incredible potential. He said, "We cannot forget he's so young. He needs to make the final third more decisive in aspects like the goal he has done in the last game. He has to do it more. The last goal is more and more complicated and difficult to score than the previous ones. 1-against-1s, the keeper, that maybe last season he missed. The moment he will make this step, which will come in a natural way because he has incredible individual quality, when it arrives for his commitment to say, I want to do it, I want to be decisive, I want to score goals and make more assists, he will become an extraordinary player. He can play on both sides, right and left. He's so fast. He understands